Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to a new guide video for Russian Fishing 4. Today we are going to be talking about Bear Lake. Now this guide's going to be a little bit different because by the time you've unlocked this, I'm not even sure what level it is, like 16 or so, you've got all the basics of fishing. And these lakes are very, very specific as to what to catch. Basically, these are the carp waters, right? So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. There's plenty of other species we'll give a brief mention to. So the two biggest things we're going to talk about are locations and boilies, because there's a million different boilies in the game, all different shapes, or they're all circular. Or spherical, but there's tons of different flavours and stuff. So first off, when you get to Bear Lake, this is the site you're greeted with. Behind you, a thing to note is there is only a fish market, administration and a grocery for your food and drink and stuff. So there's no cafe, there's no tackle shop, so make sure you've got everything you need before you travel here. So this is the lake. We're going to head down to the bottom to start off with and then sort of work our way up. One of the main things to think about is that only one side of the lake is actually fishable. You cannot get across to the other side. And it's very weedy. There's lots of grasses. It's a beautiful, beautiful lake. Up until literally the minute I logged in, there was an update that fixed an issue that was in the game for ages, which was that when you cast in, there was no splash, which was really awkward for fishing at any range. You didn't really know where you were casting, but they fixed that today, so that's fantastic. So we're going to go all the way down to the bottom here. A beautiful morning on Bear Lake here. So this is your sort of first spot. So I'll keep hitting M so you can see exactly where I am. There's a couple of deep spots that we'll get to. So this little area here, like I said, this video I'm going to concentrate mainly on the carp. If you look at, as always, if you want to see what's in the lake, look at records, see what's being caught. There's tons of different species on here. For instance, also we'll give a mention to barbel. Like for instance, there's big burbot on this lake. That's a giant one compared to the rest, and some bream and other sort of stuff. But if you want to catch burbot, you're better off going to many other different lakes and bream and stuff like that. So you come here for the carp, the barbel and the golden tench. So this is the first spot we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk mainly about feeder fishing because that's the best method here. You can float fish, you can spin, but don't really spin for carp, but you can float fish as well. So there's some good spots here, but we're going to concentrate on the feeding. So my first spot is right on this little sort of beachy bit here, and we're casting out against that little sort of short reed bed at the back there and along that line. So that's a really, really nice spot. I'll get a rod out so we can sort of roughly, see what I'm on about. I've got a fish piece. It's not the best bait for here. So we're casting out about 55%-ish. There we go. Oh, could have done it better. So all along there, you can cast with 3 rods. Just along here is really, really nice. I found that I've got about 4 spots on this lake that I really, really like. And what I'll do is I'll go to my favourite one, which I'll show you, and then I'll give it maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. If I'm not getting many bites or any bites, I'll move to the next one. So that's a really nice spot there for 3 rods. There's some nice lilies here for a bit of float fishing. If you've only got 2 feeders, you can obviously go to 2 feeders and just have a bit of fun with the float. There's lots of silverfish in here as well. What I would suggest is obviously we're going after carp, and as you can see by the records, the carp get big. Black carp, 47 kilos. We've got common carp, 38 kilos. We've got leather carp, 59 kilos. Mirror carp, 49 kilos. These are big fish, so you do want heavy gear. That is definite must. The next spot, you can fish against those shorter weeds there, but I've not had a massive amount of luck for carp, more for barbel. I'm going to go on sort of baits. Once we've had a little walk round, we'll go on for talk about baits and stuff like this. Now, under this overhanging tree here, I found most of the good spots are against these grasses that are sort of halfway out in the lake. It's quite hard to get all the way over there and to be quite accurate and stuff with your casting. So I found the better spots to be these sort of little islands and grasses here. These 2 sets, that set there and then this set, are both okay. I don't think they're spectacular by any means. I think the first shot I showed you is a better spot that that's my sort of second or third choice that I go to. So then we're going to head round here. There's a lovely bit of sort of float fishing spot just sort of around here in these shallows here. I have tried feeder fishing in this shallow area here, which is just on the nipple. And I didn't catch anything. I gave it a couple of hours and we didn't really get many bites at all. And next up, so we're around this bulbous bit now. Excuse me. This is an okay area. If nothing else is catching, I'll flick a couple of baits out here along these reed beds here, and against this second one back there. You always want to get as close in as possible. Now, what you can do is if you were to overcast it, right, so we're way over, most of the time you won't get snagged, so don't worry about risking a closer cast. As you can see, I'm just reeling in through it. Occasionally you will get stuck in it. What I notice is that sometimes before the update that allowed me to just get a little splash when you cast and you weren't quite sure, if you cast into the grass and you didn't really realise that's just a brilliant cast, I actually meant to get in the grass, what will happen often is you'll hit O to put it down, then you'll hit Y to tighten up, and if it's in the grass you'll see the line going there, and it will be much higher. It will stay much higher, and then after usually a minute or so, it's almost like it's rolling down in off the grass, and you'll get a load of slack line. That probably means you've cast it a little bit too far, but you can just hit Y, reel it in a little bit further until the line drops down. So these two spots aren't too bad, but they're still not up in my, my top 3. Okay, and then we're going to go around. So that's where we currently are here. This spot here, this open area here, is where the sort of deep area of the lake is. So I haven't, like I said, the deep areas aren't really for carp fishing too much. I have, just as an experiment, cast out 3 night crawlers into the deep area, and you do occasionally get a bream. I did get a trophy rush and a rough and a trophy perch. So there are some sort of decent fish in here, but like I said, I think there's better lakes if that's what you're after. But it's always worth a chuck if you're just bored and you want to try and experiment in that deeper pool. Next up here, I really, really like, it's got some nice float fishing if you've got a longer telescopic rod or a match rod or something. This little area here against this weed bed, I find really good for barbel. I think this is the only venue where there is barbel, and they grow to a decent size. Barbel. There she is with the barbs. Yeah, they go up to 13.5 kilos. So that currently we're at the end of the bulbous area. Now this is probably coming up is the most well-known carp spot. This is where I always start. It's probably the best area. I think most would agree. And this is right on this little beach area. You've got a little campfire behind you. And what we want to be doing is we're going to be casting up against not this one nearby, but the one behind it, this reed bed here. So the near end is about 40% on the cast on my gear. Obviously it's going to be different for you guys to get to it, and I usually try and get 3 rods, one there, sort of one there, and one near the end there on about sort of 55-60%, and that's really, really good spot. That is probably my favourite spot. I'll come here if I'm not really getting many bites after half an hour, then I will give up and move along. You can chuck a rod out to this point here, but I haven't had as much luck. So that's my go-to spot first off. Next up we have this one here, which is pretty good. Again, some nice grass carp and barbel on these spots. I haven't caught many barbel from the main area here. I've occasional one, but mainly from this spot and the one we showed you previously. So we're just working our way around to the top now. And then after that, I've not had a massive amount of luck from this spot onwards. I will walk around and sort of show you a few bits. What I might do is, I have fished here quite a bit, but not sort of recently. So what I might do is, after the video, I'll chuck out some baits here and see if we can, get a bite. So as we go round, it's a bit more open. I think there's another deeper area. Yeah, you can try that deeper area if you're after other fish, just to mix things up a little bit. If you're looking to sort of skill up your various different fishings, like if you're trying to skill up your bottom fishing, it's not always best to go after the same species. Like, I'm just catching a ton of common carp. After a while, the skill ups get slower. So you might want to use, like, say, 2 rods against the grasses for the carp, and then maybe a night crawler or something else on the rod just to pick up some random fish. But as we head around, it gets really weedy around here. There's probably a couple of good spinning spots here, but like I said, I go to elsewhere for spinning. And then right at the top end, which is, I find this place annoying because this looks so carpy, right? This looks so carpy. These grasses here, and you can catch a few. Give it a go. I find if if that first spot right at the bottom doesn't work, and my main spot, the campsite, doesn't work, and either side, those two spots, then I'll just usually pick a completely new spot that I haven't tried and give that a go. Because there's always going to be spots like this looks really good that I haven't mentioned or that you might find really work. So this spot here is, right, it looks amazing, right? It looks really, really carpy. You've got a big sunken tree here right at the top end. You've got these grasses that go all the way up into a little channel. Now, if I was fishing in real life for carp is my main bag. This might make a really good channel. You might get fish moving from one side of the lake to the other through this little thin channel, and you try and pick up the passing carp. And also down here, another sort of sunken tree branch. These might be good areas for perch. I haven't really tried. And against this grass, it all looks really, really, really carpy. Which is, and I just haven't had much luck. Give it a go, though. Like I said, I would try the main spots, the main 2 or 3 spots. If it's not working out for you, give one of these more sort of random spots a go. Now, let's head back to the main beach, and we'll cast out a couple of baits, and we'll talk about baits, because that's probably, once you've got a couple of spots, the boilies are the next biggest thing to catch in the carp. It's a different form of fishing in many ways to a lot of the other stuff you do, because normally it's a particular bait. Okay, this is spot. If you're after those burbot, then you should try the night crawler or the fish pieces, or you should try maggot for roach or whatever it is. With carp, it's boilies, but there's, I don't know, maybe 50 varieties of boilies in the game, 50 different flavours. They come in different sizes and all that sort of good stuff. So it takes a bit of learning. And as I've always said in sort of all of my videos, and whenever I'm asked for advice, is experimentation is key. So let's say we're fishing with 3 rods, which is these are my carp rods. So I use quite big hooks. These are the big bastards I'm using currently. The 2 zeros. I've caught big fish on those. I think we can have a look at my records just to give you an idea. My biggest barbel, I haven't done a massive amount of barbel fishing, was at Bear Lake. Now, before we get into the carp, I'll talk about the barbel and the other fish that's nowhere else in the game, the golden tench, which is basically a tench, but gold, obviously. But they're caught the same way. You fish for them the same. They're just a rarer version, and you get a lot more experience for them and a lot more money for them, a fish of the equivalent size. Both of these fish are caught. The best bait by far for me is cheese. We can look at the records, as always. Always have a look at the records. But so we've got a boilie here, which is a salmon-flavoured boilie. We've got 2 on potato, 2 on cheese. I found cheese works great. I think a lot of people use potato because carp love potato, so it kind of catches everything. If nothing else is working, potato might be a good idea. If we look at the golden tench, we've got a nice mix. Ignore these ones here, because these are the old boilies before they introduced like proper pots with proper flavours and stuff. It was just yellow boilie, brown boilie. So we've got a nice mix here. So they've caught on the night crawler, but cheese is king for me. So this is just my selection of boilies. I don't own all the boilies. But what I would say, if you're using 3 rods, when you first start, choose 3 different flavour boilies. That's my go-to. 3 different flavour boilies, and then see what's working. If one hasn't had a bite for 20 minutes, I'll try a different boilie on that one. If one's catching, keep it on. Maybe switch another rod to that boilie. There's one sort of rule of thumb that I use when selecting my boilie, and that is stick with the more fruity flavours seem to work best here. So tropical pineapple, anything, coconut and cream, although not fruity, is different. The ones you want to steer clear of at these lakes are, generally speaking, like I said, they still work and stuff like that, is the sort of fish flavoured, like crayfish, deep squid. It will catch you, but I think they're better on like the later lakes when you've got wild carp and the big head carp and stuff like that. They're more caught on the sort of fishy flavours. I would stick to mussels and fruit is an interesting one because it's got fruit and it's got fish, but that still works here. If I had to fish a match and had to choose 3 boilies to go with, my favourite 3 boilies are Forest Strawberry in the 20mm size, and the next one is Coconut and Cream in the 22mm size, and the third one is where is it? Nordic Esterberry in the 20mm size. I think that's just a good size for a boilie, the 20mm size. they all catch really, really well. I had a spreadsheet for a while where I was literally recording every carp over 10 kilos that I caught, just to see if there was correlation between the boilies and stuff like that. And what I think I worked out, and this is just from my experimentation, so it might be totally wrong, is that it sort of evolves, the flavours evolve. So there's not one that just works all the time. I think for a week, Nordic Esterberry and the honey flavoured one might be brilliant. And then next week, that just stops catching, and it's another few a few different other flavours that are catching. So don't get stuck on your one to go, strawberry for a week was catching me a ton of fish, and now it's not. But I'm sticking with it because I know strawberry's good. Actually, you're better off changing. Sunflower is another really, really good one here. Sweet corn is an interesting one because it catches you carp, but it can also catch you quite a few grass carp, which they're massive, and black carp in here as well. And the occasional other sort of smaller fish. But for me, those three flavours work really well. I quite like tropical pineapple works well. Actually, not tropical pineapple. It's, is it tropical pineapple? Spicy pineapple. There you go. Spicy pineapple works really well. Sunflower works really well. If we look at my records, let's see what my biggest carp caught on. So this is my biggest one. It was coconut and cream. This was the 23 kilo common carp. That's a trophy. My 27 kilo leather carp was actually caught on mussels and fruit, which works well here. Also does catch other stuff. And my recent one, which was, my 26 kilo was caught on Russian black. I only bought that one because it's the most expensive boilie. It got me very few bites, but very big fish. The golden tench was caught on cheese, and so was the barbel was caught on cheese and stuff like that. So, as always, I always say check the records, but I think even more so for Bear Lake is go into the weekly records, because the weekly records will show you what boilies are doing currently. Well, you don't live hard and fast by this rule. This just gives you an idea, but you can see what's working well at the moment. White chocolate. Mussels and fruit, the cheese, and like I said, potatoes is always good. They'll always catch you carp, but they do catch a lot of smaller ones as well. Coconut and cream. So there you go. We've got two coconut, white chocolate, coconut and cream, mussels and fruit. And then we've got, if we look at the leather, we've got sunflower, coconut and cream, sunflower, white chocolate, banana, bit of banana, nice. And then for the mirror carp, sweet corn, coconut and cream, as you can see, sweet corn, sunflower, and white chocolate. So you can see a theme coming away. We've got white chocolate, we've got the sunflowers, we've got the coconut and cream seem to be doing really well. Don't take this as gospel, because what will happen is somebody will catch a big carp that week, and then other people will start using that bait because it caught one, and therefore it's more likely they're going to get records. So it can be skewed a bit, but it gives you a rough idea what you're looking for. Let's have a look at what was the golden tench this week. So cheese, 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 and white chocolate. Who'd have thought? And the barbel, we've got a couple of boilies here. We've got white chocolate, seems to be doing really well. Freshwater krill for the barbel. That's a press cake and 2 lots of cheese. So as you can see, if I'm going to go for barbel, I'm using cheese and golden tench cheese. And my first 3 boilies, as I said, are the forest strawberry, although it might just be going off the boil at the moment. We've got some white chocolate as well. So if I was to look at that and fish now, I'd go coconut and cream, I'd go white chocolate, and then I'd probably chuck out a sunflower. They all seem to be catching well. So, but like I said, experiment. Give it 15, 20 minutes. If you're not getting any bites, chop baits. Don't be afraid to switch baits, cast out again, and then if you do that a couple of times, let's say you start 3 rods, 3 different baits, 10, 15 minutes, no bites, try 3 different other baits, still no bites, move spot. Same again, rinse and repeat until you find a one that's working, and then you can always switch all your baits to that boilie that's catching. Right, there you go, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the little guide around Bear Lake. Like I said, it is one of my favourite lakes because in real life, I spent 15 years fishing for carp and tench, so it's kind of my bread and butter. It's a little bit sad that you can't get to the other side of the lake, and also there's no cafe, so you don't get that bonus silver from fulfilling a cafe order. Make sure you've got all your baits. If you have any tips or places you particularly like on the lake that you think people should go and check, please do leave them in the comments, because it really helps other people watching this video. They can then drop into the comments, because I'm sure there's spots that I've missed, baits that I've missed, all that sort of good stuff. Everybody has a different way of fishing. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you found it useful. Please do leave a like if you do. Subscribe to the channel for more. We're going to be doing some more fishing trips soon. So I'm going to do a challenge to get, like a 1 hour challenge to get a trophy chub in Winding Rivulet. I think that's my next challenge, because that should be fun. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.